Hello, dear viewers. I am a global nationalist. I support nationalism in my country, India, and in all countries around the globe. Today, I want to talk about France and the French election debate that was held this week between Macron and Le Pen. Let's begin. The French election debate. This is an analysis based on policy and politics. First, foreign policy. I'm talking about the policies that I discussed in my previous video about Macron and Le Pen, which I'll point to here. So, on foreign policy, Macron said that he would support sending weapons to Ukraine along with other aid and taking in refugees from Ukraine. Le Pen said that she supports Macron's policy of military, humanitarian, and financial support to Ukraine, but warned that giving weapons could make France a co-belligerent. She also supported taking in refugees. Macron asked why her party took a loan from a Russian bank. Le Pen said that her party took the loan because they could not get a loan from any French bank. She said that the loan does not make them dependent on Russia. Now, what does all this mean? First, the Macron's support for Ukraine is complete and total. This shows that he completely believes that Ukraine is the right in the moral right in this war, and that it is somehow France's responsibility to support Ukraine. Le Pen also believes that Ukraine is in the right, but warns that France could become a co-belligerent if they give weapons and much military support to Ukraine, which could invite Russia to attack them. This is in line with her criticism of NATO's expansion towards Russia, which she says has been something that threatens Russia and caused Russia to act in this way. But still, she says that she condemns Russia's behavior. And as far as the loan, this was a point raised by Macron in the debate, and it was basically an attempt to make her look somehow connected and submissive to the Russian government. She denied that, said that the loan, she accepted that her party took the loan, but she said it was only because they could not get a loan from any French bank. And she said that the loan has been paid back and that they are not dependent on Russia's government because of that loan. So it's up to you to decide whether her party, the National Rassemblement, is now submissive and connected to the Russian government. Other policies in foreign policy are that Macron said that he wanted France and all EU countries to be more integrated into the European Union. Le Pen said she wanted France and all other EU countries to be more sovereign within the EU to form a European alliance of nations. Both of them agree that France should remain in the European Union, which for Le Pen is a change from her previous position in the previous election, 2017. And she also, but where they differ is that Macron somehow wants the European Union to become stronger and for France to be working underneath the European Union's authority along with all EU countries. However, Le Pen wants the EU to be kind of a tool or a group for France to use for its own purposes, national interests, along with the same for other European countries. So that clearly shows that Le Pen is the nationalist. Immigration. Macron criticized Le Pen's plan to ban headscarves in public places. He said that it could cause civil war. This is a reference to Marine Le Pen's plan to ban all religious headgear in public places in France, including Muslim hijabs. Macron said that this would cause civil war because the religious groups that wear religious clothing in public places would be offended, inclu- including Muslims, and some of them could become violent, which could start a civil war. He is, however, not just talking about all religious groups. Subliminally, the text is he's referring to jihadist groups. Some of them could start an actual civil war in France. That's a hint and a nod. Hint and a nod. Le Pen said that Muslim women were being pressured to wear the headscarf by Islamists, and she wanted to liberate them. There is some truth to this because the hijab and other headscarves and the burqa are not mandatory in Islam. Muslim women do have the right to not wear them. However, Islamists who are Muslims who are extreme Muslims and want to impose their form of Islam on others pressure Muslim women to wear these clothes. And so she's right. But however, not all Muslim women who wear the headscarf are wearing it because they're being pressured. Those women should be allowed to wear it, I think. So this is some point that I agree with Macron. I just don't think banning headscarves is a necessity. What should be done is for Muslim women and all women and men in France to be able to uh, approach the government if anyone is forcing them to wear any piece of clothing. Le Pen promised a referendum on immigration in France to amend the constitution to include the control of immigration on who should and stay and who should leave. This is because the constitution doesn't, according to Le Pen, does not have a specific provision for controlling immigration, and she wants a referendum in France to decide whether she should amend the constitution and allow such a provision to be included into it. Now, I think that this is a necessary thing in any constitution to be able to control who comes and leaves the country, to control immigration. It's a part of the duty of the state, so it should be in the constitution. I'm not sure if it is. It's not in the Indian constitution, and I think although there are laws about that, like the Citizenship Act, and but there's no such specific provision for immigration. I think India also should have an amendment for the constitution like that. Macron said he will continue his current immigration policies, which include restrictions on asylum seekers, but are not as strict as Le Pen's. So yeah, that's the basic difference between Macron and Le Pen in immigration. That they do agree that there needs to be restrictions on immigration, but Le Pen just goes more strict on it. I have referred to this in my previous video that I cited, and in other videos about the French elections. You can watch it here. Now I'll talk about the political impact of this debate. First, we have to look at the first round results. The total votes tallied in this first round were 35 million. Macron's votes and vote percentage 9 million and 27.8%. Le Pen's 8 million and 23.1%. Mélenchon's 7 million and 22%. Zemmour's 2 million and 7.1%. Zemmour endorsed Le Pen. All other candidates endorsed Macron except for Mélenchon. Mélenchon told his voters not to vote for Le Pen but did not tell them to vote for Macron. So how is this going to affect the elections? We can guess that Zemmour's votes are going to go to Le Pen, almost 99%. So that adds 11 million, which makes it more than Macron. But Mélenchon being a left candidate and who has opposed Le Pen, some of his voters will go to Macron. So that would, so we can guess that maybe out of 7 million, 60%, so say 4 million will go to Macron. So that raises his tally by 213 million, which is uh, higher than Le Pen's. Now, the other candidates endorsed Macron, including the Socialist Party and the Republican Party. Now, the Republican Party is the dominant, the mainline right wing party in France, but they got less than 5% of the vote. So it's obvious that the right wing people in France did not like them. So the fact their appeal to their voters not to vote for Le Pen and to vote for Macron might not work, and most of their voters could go to Le Pen. So they got less than a million, and since we added Zmore's already, which gives her 10 million, we can just round it off to another million from the Republican voters to 11 million. But the Socialist Party, which got even less votes than the Republicans, endorsed Macron. So, who already, in our calculation, has 11 million votes. And yeah, 11 million votes. So add in, say, 500,000 votes from the socialist voters, and that could gives you approximately 12 million. Now the question remains as to whether Mélenchon's 3 million remaining voters will go to Le Pen. It's possible that out of them, 1 million will just abstain, so 2 million might go to Le Pen. So, because Mélenchon was an outsider candidate, and Le Pen is also an outsider candidate and has some left wing economic proposals which might appeal to Mélenchon's left wing voters. So that's 2 million to Le Pen. So, plus so that's 11 million plus 2 million, 13 million. So the final tally would be Macron having around uh, 14 million and Le Pen's having around uh, 12 to 13 million, still less than Macron. So this is with just the results of the first round. So even before this debate, she was in the underdog, as can be seen here in these polls. Before Macron was having 54 to 56% of the vote, and Le Pen had 43.5% to 45.5% of the vote. After the debate, Macron got between 55 to 57% of the vote, and Le Pen got 43 to 45% of the vote. The debate did not have a significant impact on the opinion polling. Debate was on the 21st of April, and um, from we can see the days before, Macron has 55, 56, 56, 54.5%, and right before the debate, he has 55, 56%, and then after, and Le Pen has 45, 43, 44%. And after the vote, the debate, Le Pen's percentage rises to 47%, and Macron kind of goes between 53 and 56%. And but a few days later, as time passes, their percentages stabilize with Macron at 55 and 56%, and Le Pen at 44, 44.5, 45%. And an interesting thing to note is that basically the 91% of voters in France, according to Uh, According to pundit I was watching on France 24 today, he said 91% of French voters have already made up their mind before the debate. So, well, that's what happened in the debate. I couldn't go into other policies because I have not covered them in previous videos, such as economic policy, pension policy, and crime and violence and stuff, and public and for national security, which I did cover in my last video on the French elections. I couldn't cover that here because I could not find what they said about that in this debate. Now, what can we make of this debate? I watched the first 1 hour of it, and I think both of them came across well. They were both confident, and Le Pen seemed very adamant to make herself heard, to appeal to as many voters as possible, while Macron was trying to uh, point at her as her policies as being not practical and stuff. So I must say they both carried themselves well in the debate. They did interrupt each other sometimes, but not all the time. And it was a good debate, and it was an education for me in French politics. I'm impressed by it. I wish my country could have such debates between political leaders. So I still think that Le Pen is the better candidate. She's more focused on national security, on French sovereignty. She understands the dangers that NATO poses, how it can be used to threaten other countries like it did for Russia. And she also understands how France is becoming subsumed by the European Union. But unfortunately, Macron doesn't seem to understand that. As Le Pen once pointed out, he sometimes replaces French flags with European flags, Union flags, which I completely disagree with. So, yeah, she is a nationalist by the traditional sense. She wants a nation to have sovereignty and independence and not to be subordinate to supranational organizations, while Macron is a globalist because he wants his nation to be subordinate to supranational organizations, which in this case is the European Union. But I am not going to tell French voters who to vote for in the elections. It is not my place, and I am not an authority and have no right to say that. I'm just giving my opinion of the candidates, who I prefer. And ultimately, I just hope this election goes off well, and whoever wins, I hope that they lead France to greater heights. Uh, that's the end of the video, and I want to end it by wishing good luck to France. That was the video. If you liked it and want to see other videos about elections, click on this playlist. If you want to see my previous video, click right here. If you want to see the sources I use for this video, click the link in the description below. Thank you for watching. Vande Mataram.